Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Ron at SceneGrinder, and in today's video I'm going to talk about the user interface. A couple of quick points before I get into the details. First, we focused really hard when designing the user interface to minimize the number of clicks that you need to take to do things when you're playing the games. So our goal is no more than 2 clicks for anything gameplay related, and that 80% of the time you can get to wherever you want to go with just a single click. The second goal is we wanted to give both the GM and the players lots of personalization options because we all know we like to do things differently. So I'm going to start with the player view first, and then I'll talk about the differences on the GM view. Starting first on the left-hand side, we've got what we call the avatar list. So this is a list that shows all of the other characters on the scene that you can see, and that list can be restricted further by the GM. And the information that's displayed in this list is completely configurable by the GM. So you can see in this case, I've got passive perception and armor class showing. I've got hit point information, but exactly what's displayed and how it's displayed will be set by the GM. Moving to the top of the page, you can see you've got this brownish bar across the top, and it's got some buttons to denote groups of actions that you can take. So exactly how this top section displays will be configurable both by the GM and by the players. As far as the player-specific options, on the far left, you've got turns and round management. So this is what you would look at when you're in an encounter. Then you've got movement options. The third option here is groups, and the key thing that you can do from here is you can hide that avatar list. Next, we've got the checks section, and let me take just a second and talk about that quickly. So the first option is the checks page. And what we've done here is we dynamically create this list by going through your character sheet and pulling out everything that you could potentially make a die roll on. So the reason we do this is so that you don't have to hunt and peck through your character sheet to find the particular option that you need to make a roll for. So they're all listed right here. The second option over here is where you can set up hotkeys, and I'll get to that in just a second. Next, we've got different view options, and this is where you can switch from the overhead view that you see right now to a first-person viewpoint. Moving to the bottom of the screen is the hotkey section. And as you can see, you can create up to 10 hotkeys, and these are hotkeys to the checks that I mentioned just a second ago. And for each of the hotkeys, as you can see, you can give them icons. And we've got about 500 or 600 icon choices right now, so there's lots of options to choose from. Now, on the bottom left and the bottom right, there are 2 buttons, and what these buttons do is they let you jump directly to a page on your character sheet. And these options will be defaulted by the GM, but players can change them to whatever they want them to be. So that covers the player's side. So now let's take a look at what's different on the GM side. Okay, the first thing you'll notice is on the GM side, we start with the options collapsed because there's a lot more options for the GM. Okay, so I'm not going to hit each of these buttons in detail, but let me just give you a quick high-level overview. So for rounds and turns, as you can see, there's a lot more options that the GM has for managing an encounter. Then you've got the same movement options as players have. When it comes to groups, the GM can also hide and unhide the avatar list, and they've got additional options for dealing with groups, and I'll explain that in a future video. Next, we've got the checks page, where the GM can select any character and view the checks page that we mentioned before, but there's also a number of options related to calling for requests from players and automating things like initiative die rolling for NPCs. And again, I'll cover that in a future video. Next, we've got options for the GM to create and summon characters into the scene. The view options that we talked about with the players. And then there's a screen where they can manage scene settings, another screen where they can do map settings. So this is where they can modify the terrain and the models that are displaying in the scene. And then the final option is to get to the world settings where they can manage everything about the world, such as the campaign and everything else. And just like players, there's a bottom left and a bottom right button. And like I mentioned before, the GM defaults what these buttons are for. Okay, and that's it for this video. Happy gaming, everybody, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.